Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be discussing the anxieties that come along with vinyl collecting. I did a video earlier about all of the positives and the thrills of vinyl collecting. Well, now I kind of want to focus on a little bit of the negative. I don't try to be a negative person, but there are some negatives about vinyl collecting. Obviously, the positives far outweigh the negatives, but there are negatives. There are things that make me very nervous, give me a little bit of anxiety when it comes to vinyl. So let me go ahead and get started. First off, one of the things I'll discuss is the anxiety or guilt I feel about the size of my record collection. I have enough records, I have plenty of vinyl now, and one of the things that makes me feel guilty about it is that I have so many records that I cannot play them on a daily, weekly, monthly, maybe even yearly routine and feel like I have played them enough. So I feel guilty about having all these records and just not enough time to play them as often as I should. So that's something I feel a little bit of guilt for. That's where collecting comes in and just knowing you'll have them when you need them. But unfortunately, I have so many records that I don't get to play all of the records in full rotation as often as I would like to. Another thing that really makes me anxious about vinyl is when they announce these new cool box sets. You know, I hear these announcements all the time, and like you, I have to put money back, I have to save for them, and that's stressful because, you know, you have these other expenses in life. But I'll tell you, the biggest culprit of my stress, the Beatles. They're coming out with amazing box sets all the time. Here's the Abbey Road box set. The year before that, it was the White Album box set. Here is the, if you see in the background here, I've got the Beatles singles collection. I also have a lot of just records that have already been released from the Beatles that I love collecting. The Beatles take a big chunk of my money, and when they announce all of these wonderful box sets, I have to save my money for them. They're not cheap. Paul McCartney's another one of them. I got these box sets going on every few months. Have to save my money. So that's just another source of stress, is having to pace yourself financially for the box sets and the records that you really want. Here's another example. Here is Prince, 1999. There was a bigger box set that cost a lot more money than this one, but for me, this one was the one I wanted. It's about a 4 LP set, but I had to put back money for it. Glad to have it, but you know, these box sets cost a lot of money, and they do add stress, what I'd call financial stress. So I love having them, but man, they can add stress. Another part about vinyl that adds stress is when there is a record announced and they announce it's going to be in limited quantities, really limited quantities in some. Here's one example, Slaughter. This album is one I've been wanting. It's called Stick It To Ya. It's a really great record, and I could have bought an original, but it was a lot of money. Here is the reissue, but I had to order it right away. I couldn't think about it because it had limited quantities of 500. So very happy to have it in the collection. However, very stressful. You have to make an immediate decision to go ahead and lock yourself into it. And this was 500 copies on this gold vinyl. So I love having it. It's a great addition to the collection. But when there's limited quantities, you have to get on something right away. That creates a lot of stress because you have to have the money, you have to know and hear about it in the nick of time. Another thing that I really love about vinyl collecting, but I'm going to be honest with you, is very, very stressful, is record store day. And You know, it's really a lot of fun. They have a lot of really great releases. I love Record Store Day. I love getting in line. I love talking to everybody in line. Of course, this year was totally different. But here are my little bit of complaints, what makes me stressed out. You know, there's some releases that you really, really want, and there's very limited quantities of them. I happen to live in a small town. There's not a lot of record stores available to me, and the record stores, when they get their Record Store Day stock in, we're probably talking about 1, 2, 3 copies of most records, maybe 5 at the most if it's something extremely popular. So I have to get up really, really early and get in line and hope to be the first or second person in line so that I am assured that I get what I really want. So, you know, Record Store Day is a lot of fun. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's also a lot of greed, a lot of competition, a lot of hoping and praying you're first in line so that you get what you want. This year was a little different for me. It was a lot less stressful. You know, this is, as of right now, there's only been one round of the vinyl Record Store Day that has dropped. And a week after Record Store Day for August, I went into a store and was able to find the only record that really was that interesting for me. So I did pick up Bowie's Changes Now. This is a really good one. I really enjoy this one. I honestly didn't care if I had gotten it or not until I heard everybody else on their vinyl videos talking about how fantastic this record is. You know, it sparked my interest. I happened to be at a record store a week after Record Store Day, and I found it and was able to pick it up. But most record store days are very stressful. You only get one day. You don't get all of these monthly drops. So that's just something that adds a lot of stress, even though I love Record Store Day. So another one, you know, issue about records that, you know, vinyl collecting that comes to mind. Is my money really going to something that it should be? There's so many great causes out there and so many people in need. The money I spent on vinyl records, could it be spent better? And of course the answer is yes. Of course it could be spent in a better place. I could be donating more to a charity. I could be just buying something for someone I know who's in deep need, and I do those things. However, you know, it's a balance. You gotta balance life with helping others, enjoying life for yourself. You know, I work really, really hard. I have a very hard job. I work hard for the money for the records, you know, that I'm able to buy. So it's a balance. You know, I feel guilty about spending money on records when I know other people need help. But yet I work so hard and I deserve some of the things I want in life too. So I kind of, you know, it's just an everyday struggle for all of us, you know, balance between helping others and being able to enjoy our lives and having fun in our lives. Also, another thing that kind of stresses me out about records is when I go into a record store and I see a record that I know is rare because I see people talking about it on their channels. And, you know, it's a lot of money, but I don't know enough about it. For example, I went into a record store not that long ago and I saw an album by a band called The Remains, and it was an original. They wanted a lot of money for it. I know it's hard to find. I know it's really cool to own. But I don't know the music enough to make the decision to pull the trigger and spend that much money on a record. So I usually decide if it's not something that absolutely grabs my heart and I don't know enough about it, I just leave it, let it go, let someone else's dream come true. Someone who comes in after me, who's been looking for that record for years. Let them have that moment. So that's kind of where I fall on that. But to be honest with you, when I see something that's rare, I know is rare, and I know I may never see it again, it's kind of stressful. It's a tough decision. Do I go ahead and pick it up for myself, or do I just let it go? So that's another part of vinyl collecting that's kind of interesting that I have to think about. Another part of vinyl collecting that's hard is I get so many recommendations from so many wonderful viewers about music they're trying to turn me on to. And I have a lot of records in my collection that don't get enough listens. And I get so many recommendations. It's like too much music, too little time. And I know that you all can probably appreciate that. You want to discover new music at the same time you want to listen to what you already have. And you have to balance that out. So, I think that's a very interesting topic. Something that, I don't know if it's a stress, but it's something I think about. I really want to balance out finding new music versus listening to what I already have. And finally, here is something else that brings me stress. It's a little bit of a morbid thought that, I have this really big collection and I'm not always going to be here. So if something happens to me, what is going to happen to my vinyl collection? If something happens to me, my husband has a plan. He knows of a record store that he would just go ahead and sell my collection to. However, if something happens and I still have this collection and my husband and I are both gone, I'm going to be leaving this huge record collection to my daughter. And what is she going to do with it? I hope it brings pleasure to her. I hope she's able to pick out the records she really loves. Hope she's able to find some things that were in her mom's collection that she decides she wants to keep for herself. Hopefully then with everything she doesn't want, she's just able to sell it really easily and quickly. But it would break my heart if this wonderful collection and things that I enjoy become a source of stress for her in her life. Right now she has so much going on. She's in medical school. She's married. I would hate for something to happen to us and her just feel straddled with this huge vinyl collection. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully I live for a very long time and I am able into my own time and in my own way be able to take care of the vinyl collection and it not be a source of stress for anybody else. So anyway, those are the sources of stress when it comes to vinyl collecting. Please let me know what you think, what stresses you out, or maybe you think I'm crazy about something I've already talked about. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please subscribe to my channel and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.